I think Edmund Rice has been a huge part of my college career because I'm going to my third year as orientation leader, and orientation is all about like helping make sure that freshmen coming into Iona know the history of Iona, and Edmund Rice is basically the history of Iona. Not only what he means with service and with education, but orientation wouldn't be the same if we didn't have Edmund Rice like at the center of it. So I think having him around, and like every time I see the statue in front of the ginkgo tree, I just feel like touching the stone, and just seeing it around, especially during orientation, is very important. So Edmund Rice is a huge part, especially in the summer.
One of the biggest things that was important to Edmund Rice was sustainability. So he didn't just serve the communities that he was like passionate about, but he served them in a sustainable way. So he made sure that if there was, he provided jobs, which provided clothing and different things between like his bakery and his like tailor shop and whatever that's called. And I think that's very prevalent at Iona because the service that we do is like deeply rooted in with organizations that are connected deeply to the community, and it's not that we're just showing up, doing our part and leaving. Like we are assisting organizations that are passionate about the communities that they serve and like continue to be passionate about them, which I think is really important and is not how everyone serves, and I think that's really strong to Iona's base.
So I would say Edmund Rice has the biggest impact on me by probably the Christian Brothers and just their philosophy and their presence at the college. I think they carry out his deeds and what he's done with his life and the life of service, and I've learned so much about him. But I think the example that I found most in my college career by the Christian Brothers was their presence around campus and how they can be a loving and welcoming presence at Iona.
Right, so I've been going on mission trips all 4 years of college, and everyone's always talked about Edmund Rice, and we model the mission trips after his teachings and everything. But it wasn't until I went on my last mission trip this year, my senior year, to Peru, where we stayed with Christian Brothers, that Edmund Rice was like a focal point of a lot of reflections and talking about things that we did. Since he was an educator, every mission trip where there's been opportunities to teach and be taught, Edmund Rice has been brought into that. And just having Christian Brothers around the campus always. I'm very close with Brother Devlin, and he is like my image of Edmund Rice to me. Teaching in places where it's not easy to, and just being multifaceted as Edmund Rice was. So, yeah.
During my time here at Iona, I participated in 3 different mission trips. My freshman year was Philadelphia, my sophomore year was India, and my third year here at Iona was Nazareth Farm. And through each of those mission trips, I've seen Edmund Rice's presence in them, whether it comes to teaching, to our own service work, and helping out the communities that are involved in each different city. And I think that's the importance of it, is that Edmund Rice isn't just here at Iona, but it's a way bigger picture than we even realize. As I said, Philadelphia is definitely completely different than West Virginia, and then West Virginia is completely different than India. And I think here and there, if you talk to any student that's gone on a mission trip, they can tell you the exact same thing that I just said and how prevalent Edmund Rice is in their own mission.
So I led a mission trip to Habitat for Humanity. The prevalence in that, I'd say, it just comparing it to how he worked with service and in other communities, it helps you, it gives you a mission in working with other communities. It helps you to share that goal with other people and get them on your side and get them to care about the communities they're working for.
So I've gone to Habitat, and I'm going to be leading Habitat next spring break. And the most important parts about mission trips, especially one that's so physically demanding as Habitat, is the spiritual reflection parts at night. And most of the prompts, if not most of the reflections, come from what Edmund Rice preaches, which is all about unity, seeing what you're doing for others, and appreciating the fact that what you're doing may take some part out of you, but you give so much to others, and that's the important part. So mission trips, especially Habitat, wouldn't be the same if we didn't have that sense of true commitment to the service that Edmund Rice had.
I think I followed in the footsteps of Edmund Rice, and in my service at Iona through some of my service projects, helping children at the Asset Center, repairing homes devastated by Hurricane Sandy, and then also in my mission trips to Nazareth Farm in Peru. I really felt like I was doing good deeds, and just as Edmund did,
I think like Edmund really focused on the people that were being overlooked. Obviously, he educated Catholic students who weren't allowed in schools, and he was very passionate about the education of children with disabilities. And I think that those like outcasted groups, or marginalized groups, are ones that like I'm drawn to as an educator. Like I like to work in under-resourced schools eventually when I do graduate, and I think that's something that Iona has a really strong connection to, between like asset and working with Boys and Girls Club. I think that that we see like Edmund throughout that, because it's very easy to educate kids that are that have it all like laid out for them, but to really stand with the children who have a tougher time going through school, I think is really important.
My biggest impact that I think Iona has brought to me with Edmund is probably the Edmund Rice Chapel. I think having that space dedicated to him in his honor just helps me be present with the Iona community, and you know, think about myself, how I can emulate Edmund in my life and in all that I do in the future. And you know, I think I really remark on him because, you know, I think at one point in his life he felt called to live out this life of service after everything was going after there were a lot of hardships for him, and I really respect that he chose that path and to do good with his life.
I'm moving to Disney World to do the Disney College program, and I'm already looking into ways I can do service while in Orlando, and I am going to be taking classes in Florida. And recently someone was like, why do you plan on taking classes? Like, you're done with your undergrad and it doesn't count towards grad school. And I was like, yeah, but I want to keep learning. And I feel like that's a big part of Edmund Rice, is learning not just in the classroom. Like, he had a bakery next to his school so that the students could learn how to implement the stuff that they learned, and just continue learning, and that's what I plan on doing.
I think going into my final year here at Iona, being a resident assistant in law office is going to be very important for me to like keep in touch with Edmund Rice, because again, as an orientation leader and as a freshman resident assistant, Edmund Rice is all about like making sure that they know what they're going into and appreciating the core values of service that Iona has. And I think just knowing that will help me not only be a great leader for Habitat for Humanity again, but also be a great assistant for the freshmen again.